Hello, this is Ruth here. I want to show you something. See this? This is my horse. I had him when I was a teenager. His name was Oscar Blacksmith, and I loved him very, very much. He was probably my best friend when I was a teenager, apart from God, of course. I was frightfully keen on God, even when I was a teenager. I'm going to tell you a story about my darling Oscar. One day, my father needed to go down the island to a place called Rotorua. And if you're ever in New Zealand, I hope you get to visit Rotorua. It's a very interesting place. It has lots of boiling mud pools and geysers, and it's I think it's got more exploding things than Yellowstone in America, and it stinks like rotten eggs. So it's a very interesting place to visit. Anyway, we had to go there for a week. So my mother said to her friend, who had a daughter about my age, "Why don't you borrow our country cottage and you can have a holiday while we're down in Rotorua, and your daughter can ride Ruth's horse," because the daughter loved horses and she knew how to ride, but she didn't have her own horse. So that was all very nice. Now, my horse was very pretty, and the best thing about my horse was his tail. His tail was the longest tail of all the horses on the road that I lived. There were a few girls up there who owned horses, and they owned beautiful horses, but none of them had a tail as long as my horse. His tail was so long that I would take a hairbrush in the morning and I would brush and brush and brush it. And I had to keep it trimmed or it would actually drag on the ground. So I kept it just trimmed above the ground, and it was really beautiful, and I was really proud of it. And then we came home from our holiday and I went to see my horse, and I saw something that made me furious. This girl had taken a pair of scissors and she had cut my horse's tail off in the middle. And my horse had gone from having the longest tail on the road to having the shortest tail on the road. And I was so upset and angry. I wrote that girl a letter and I said, "If you ever cut another bit of my horse off, I'll never let you ride him again." Anyway, she was very, very sorry. She said to me, "I'm really sorry, I did the wrong thing, please forgive me." And I said, "Oh, it's okay, I forgive you. But here's the thing, I didn't mean it, not one bit. I was really angry. I was angry every time I went and brought my horse in and brushed him and got to that short, stumpy tail where there'd been this beautiful long tail. And for a week, I hated that girl. And every night I went to bed and I thought about what she'd done to my horse, and I was so angry. Well, after 7 nights of this, the Lord came and he spoke to me. And God said, "Ruth, why are you angry about your horse?" And I said, "Because that girl took a big pair of scissors and cut off my horse's tail." And the Lord said to me, "Ruth, you do not have a horse." And I was like, "What?" He said, "I have a horse, and I let you ride that horse whenever you like. I've forgiven that girl for cutting off my horse's tail, and you need to forgive her too." And I realized it was true, because everything is a gift from God, and I wouldn't have had that horse if God hadn't given me that horse, and he hadn't given my parents land to keep a horse on. And I suddenly realized that I didn't have a horse. The horse was on loan to me from God. And I realized that as soon as that girl apologized for cutting off my horse's tail, and she needed to apologize, it wasn't wrong for me to send the letter, because what she did was completely wrong and she needed to be told. But as soon as she apologized and admitted she was wrong, her sin was gone. God forgot it. And suddenly I had a sin, because I wasn't forgiving her from my heart, and I was being insincere. And I'd like to tell you that as soon as God spoke to me, I just immediately became this righteous, amazing person, and I didn't care. But the truth is, it took weeks. And every time I grew my horse, I looked at that short tail and I would start to hate that girl. And then I would remember what God told me, and I would say, "God, I don't even know how to forgive her. I'm so angry. Please forgive me. Please, please put a clean heart in me. I'm sorry. I know it's your horse. I just can't really understand it." And eventually he helped me to learn the lesson. So I'm going to tell you that lesson, and I hope you learn 2 lessons from this. One is, if you ever have a horse and someone cuts their tail off, you will forgive them and not make the mistake I did. And of course, if anyone ever lends you their beloved horse, I hope you don't take a pair of scissors and snip its tail off, because it really is very upsetting. Love you lots. Bye-bye.